Trump warns House Republicans don't F around with Medicaid in the latest big, beautiful bill drama. The New York Post is reporting from Washington. President Trump warned House Republicans don't F around with Medicaid during a closed-door meeting Tuesday as he sought to rally support for his big, beautiful bill. The R-rated remark, confirmed to the Post by a Republican member of Congress and another person in the room, came as Trump tries to convince fiscal hawks to deliver on a bundle of top campaign pledges, including extending his 2017 tax cuts while eliminating levies on tips, overtime pay, and Social Security. I can't believe they got rid of the Oxford comma there. Before entering the meeting with House Republicans, Trump defended planned changes to Medicaid, which he called crackdown on fraud. We're not doing any cutting of anything meaningful, the president said. The only thing we're cutting is waste, fraud, and abuse. But skeptical Republicans such as Chip Roy of Texas have demanded that more conservative reforms to Medicaid be tacked onto the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, including an earlier imposition of work requirements for able-bodied Americans to use the entitlement. He paints with some colorful phrases, maybe that we hear more often here than we do in South Dakota. Rep. Dusty Johnson told the Post about Trump's message to Republicans. When he says don't touch things, he means don't make adjustment to the bill as drafted. The president is the world's best salesman, Johnson added. You could tell that he moved the room. So the Republican fiscal hawks have been saying that there's just not enough cuts. This is too big, that it's $5 trillion in additional spending. It doesn't decrease spending, never mind actually cut the government. And you're starting to hear a lot more people in business starting to complain about the national debt and what it's going to do to the economy. You hear people like the guys from the All In podcast are talking about it. Chamath and Freeberg are talking about it a lot. Moody's just downgraded the U.S. credit rating because of this. And if the fiscal house is not in order, you're going to start seeing serious cuts that are going to come whether we like it or not. The only way that the U.S. is going to be able to get out of it is by either blowing up the dollar or they're going to have to use austerity measures. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, as a young person, I am very concerned about the long-term fiscal health of the United States. But I will say, my organization, the Bullman's Project, we have supported the One Big Beautiful Bill for multiple reasons, and there's a million different things in it. It is a massive piece of legislation. But ultimately, I think the big mistake from Trump's first term was not making these tax cuts permanent. And that's part of the reason why they're pushing so hard and why the bill is so huge, because it didn't include just individual tax cuts. They all, they put on the Social Security tax changes, the no tax on tips in there. That's new. But the other provisions in the bill included things like R&D expensing. So when the bill expires, if they don't pass a new one, all of these businesses that spend millions of dollars doing R&D in the United States, they're no longer able to write it all off the same year. They have to amortize it over 5 years, which means functionally that we're not going to be innovating the same, or that these massive companies that have, created so many products, especially, pharmaceuticals, it's one of the biggest R&D expenses in the United States, I believe. That's going to impact their bottom line. And you can be, against big pharma and all of that, but ultimately this would affect a lot of businesses that are trying to make American companies and products better. And so we lined up behind it because we do believe that people should have a tax cut. We do believe that businesses should not be penalized for doing investment in the United States. But it is going to be a huge challenge. And I think part of the reason, probably the big reason why they made changes to Social Security and why they're very wary about touching entitlements is because the Republican base now is low propensity voters, a lot of whom rely on some kind of entitlement, and then also seniors. Seniors are huge Republican voters. They're also the more likely Republican voters. The new Trump coalition is more low propensity. It's working class, which means we actually have to work to get them out there. And then the seniors that come out and vote Republican, they want their entitlements preserved. And the Democrat coalition is more middle to upper class, the white collar jobs, urban, and they go out and they go vote more than the working class people do, and they also want to preserve a lot of these social programs. So we're kind of in between a rock and a hard place here.
So there's someone in the chat said, if we stop sending our money to Israel, Ukraine, and other countries, we would have more than enough tax money to fix our country, enough to take care of our people. No, that's totally wrong, and you're dumb for saying it.
It's unfortunate, though, that it isn't. I'm kidding.
I wish it was.
We pay more on our interest. We pay more on our interest than we do.
I would love to stop sending money overseas. I would love to end all foreign aid. I don't think we need to be giving money away. There are arguments that are compelling for it, but I still would come down on the side, we don't need to do foreign aid. But the idea that foreign aid is driving our national debt, that is clown world BS. And you should feel bad for even typing that in the chat.
But it doesn't sell as well if you can't rail on Israel. A couple of notes on this bill, though.
No. Hold on.
Because it's sexy to hate on Israel. It's sexier to say we have a high deficit because of
say
Ukraine.
Israel, though. They're saying Israel. They're saying it's foreign aid. It is Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Those are the things. And the idea that we don't take care of our people, the reason why we have so much debt is because of mandatory spending, which is Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. So your idea is wrong, and stop saying stupid things because you look stupid.
I wanted to have a couple more notes on this bill that I'm reading from. So Trump pushed moderate Republicans from blue states to give up their fight over SALT, the SALT deduction, in addition to railing different Republicans over Medicaid cuts. And he specifically took aim at Republican Mike Lawler from New York, who has been outspoken in making greater changes to the SALT deduction. He told him, "I know your district better than you do, and if you lose because of SALT, you were going to lose anyway." Quick catch up, the SALT deduction, or state and local tax deduction, allows taxpayers who itemize deductions on their federal income tax returns to deduct the taxes they've paid to state and local governments. So what that means is in blue states where they have high state taxes, they're able to deduct that from their federal taxes. How this plays out politically is that Republicans in blue states can only win if they support this stuff. And the thought process is that Republicans in blue states is the path to the majority. Another interesting tidbit here is that they only have, they're able to lose up to 2 votes, if my math is correct. And Donald Trump actually came out against libtarditarian extraordinaire and anti-MAGA Rep Thomas Massie.
Thomas Massie's the best in the House.
He's consistently the most anti-MAGA Republican in the House. So he opposed the legislation that adds anything to the deficit, which the bill will definitely do. Donald Trump said of him, "I don't think Thomas Massie understands government," and that I think he's a grandstander, frankly. I think he should be voted out of office. In the past, he said that he would support any challenger. Elaad's not wrong. He's saying Donald Trump is wrong. That's not Elaad. That's Donald Trump saying these things. Donald Trump said, "I think he's a grandstander who should be voted out of office." So if my math is right, it's only 2 votes that he can't lose more than 1 vote. Thomas Massie is already an implied no vote, and we'll see what happens with this small SALT caucus of Republicans in blue states. I think that was a nice little basis of understanding for what's the real drama behind this bill. Whether or not it passes will be whether or not these blue state Republicans grandstand.
It's not just that, though, because Chip Roy's from Texas, and Texas is reliably red, and Chip Roy's a fiscal hawk, and so. Go ahead.
Oh, I will say when Thomas Massie and Chip Roy have concerns, you listen.
I completely agree. Thomas Massie's the best in the House. Whether or not you agree with him, he's incredibly consistent. He's
consistently anti-MAGA.
He's not anti-MAGA. He's a fiscal conservative.
He's against Trump's one big beautiful bill. I don't know how you describe that as anything but anti-MAGA.
So his concern. He's not concerned with MAGA. He's concerned with actual fiscal responsibility.
It's Trump's bill.
It doesn't matter if it's Trump's bill. The point is, he's consistently fiscally conservative. He's literally one of the best people in the House because of the fact that he's consistently fiscally conservative. The arguments that the fiscal conservatives are making, they are correct. If we do not get our fiscal house in order, we're going to have austerity measures. I'm sure that you have thoughts on this. Please jump in.
I think. What I think my personal kind of ideal would be finding a way with Social Security, especially I would like to have an opt out. I know I'm probably not going to get Social Security.
Yeah.
And I personally I don't want to pay into a system and not, you know, receive anything. And look, I have absolutely no problem supporting elderly Americans. A lot of those people do need help, and I'm more than happy to pay into a social safety net to support people who need it, especially people who are working class and don't have the same kind of career opportunity as me. However, I want the ability to take that money and put it somewhere else, or at least be able to take some portion of it, right? Because if I know that I'm not going to have the same system, why would it exist? Now, it may take time. I think a lot of I don't think the political dynamics are there, and that's what we're really running into. Massey and Rand Paul and Chip Roy, I mean, yeah, they're very hard fiscal conservatives, and I think I have, you know, some very strong disagreements with them on some things, not all things, but they are right that something has to be done. I just think that it was an early mistake of the first term to make this expire. We shouldn't even be having this fight right now, in my opinion. And I think that if a lot of these provisions, the important ones that we support with R&D and the actual tax cuts weren't expiring, there would be more room to consider those changes. But as it stands, I don't think that Trump and other national leaders, or I guess Republican leaders in this instance, are going to look at our current coalition and say, let's go cut Social Security, let's go cut all these health programs because we will 100% lose the next election. And like I was saying earlier, it's between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, the situation is, you know, if they do make any kind of cuts, then the people that are the most likely to vote are going to consider themselves lied to. They're going to say, look, you heard us, you heard our entitlements or whatever. We earned these. We've paid in our whole lives, and they're not wrong to feel that way. But at the same time, if you don't, those austerity measures are coming whether we like it or not. So like the option isn't, do this so that way we can avoid having to cut Social Security and Medicaid. Those cuts are coming, right? There is no reality where those cuts don't come. It's whether or not we do them in a controlled manner sooner, or we have to do bigger cuts later. But they're coming.
I do think that there is something to what Secretary Bessent says, and some people made fun of this on social media, but the goal is to invigorate the U.S. economy so that for however much longer it's not a big problem, right? Get more investment, get more growth in the United States. We're also in a slightly different position where the U.S. dollar is kind of the backbone of the world, and I think that puts us in a place that gives us breathing room. I do think that at some point things are going to have to change. I just don't think that realistically speaking, those cuts are going to happen this term. Probably not next term, not until, there are actual real demographic changes in the United States.
Given our political landscape and our political system, I guess how people get elected, I just don't foresee people making big enough cuts to these programs that will continue to get them elected. So what I'm saying, it's political suicide. You are, if you're voting to cut Medicaid, Medicare, or any of these programs, you will likely get voted out. So you'd have to be a very altruistic politician, something exceptionally rare among them nowadays, to do that. So if you want to keep your seat and continue doing your job in office, you are not going to make these cuts and continue down the spiral. I don't know how this is going to play out. Maybe just massive inflation, because I don't see people having, once you give somebody something, it's really hard to take it back, as opposed to never having given it to them in the first place. I think another aspect that we need to consider here is the population curve of the country. We are no longer fat at the bottom and skinny up top. We're fat in the middle. Not good. We don't want to be fat in the middle.
We're fat up top. We're
fat up top, we're fat in the middle, and we're skinny on the bottom. Worst kind of chick and worst kind of population curve, because these are the people who are supposed to be paying in to the system in the future that we benefit off of. And if we don't have that population to continue paying into the system, it's just going to come out as debt.
Well, yeah, and without immigration, I mean, we would have had this crisis decades ago. No, I'm saying
sounds like a global scheme to flood America.
Well, I'm saying without immigration, we would have had this crisis decades ago. We're buying ourselves time, but now the mood is turning from immigration. So it's like this is going to hit us a lot sooner than we think. And Tim talks about it all the time. He walks you through the population of each generation.
Yeah.
I mean, this is imminent.
100%.
Me and Aiden, what, you're 20, 25? Like, I'm 24. Like,
You guys are a rare breed. I don't see people under 25 anymore, so it seems.
yeah. I'm not touching. My Social Security's gone. I just see it as charity. I try to write it off every year, and it doesn't work.
And you're paying into Social Security down the line for people like Phil, too.
Yeah,
Because Phil's seeing his Social Security. You're still going to be paying into it.
I don't think so, because the Social Security's they're going to have to make significant cuts by the time I think 2033. So that 2032, which is 7 years, I'm not retiring.
Do you remember Nikki Haley she proposed raising the retirement age by like a year and a half, and everyone lost their minds?
Yeah.
That's the issue, though, because it's the so-called third rail of politics. It's so unpopular. You're going to strip me of my entitlements? I'm entitled to it. I paid into it. How could you take it away from me? Is the thought process. Although most people who receive Social Security didn't pay as much as as much as they're getting out. Most people who get Medicaid and Medicare don't pay nearly as much into it as they get out.
People my age that actually do get any kind of Social Security, they're going to be getting it with inflated dollars. You're going to be getting dollars that don't buy you anything. So yeah, maybe I'll get maybe I will get some kind of Social Security, but it's not going to be able to cover, my expenses or anything. It's going to be a situation where if I don't have, if I didn't have savings and stuff, I'd be completely effed.
This is the thought process. This is why we'll never get rid of it. People are like, gee whiz, I kind of need my Social Security down the line.
Even if I get a little bit, said I'm not going to get it.
But you'll get it further down the line, maybe with a little bit of it cut off, and you're going to be very upset over it. You'd vote against somebody taking away your Social Security if you were 60, 62. I just said
the guy that shut your mouth. You're like, I just said Thomas Massey's the best, and Thomas Massey's like, no, we have to do the fiscally responsible thing. You're over here saying, no,
it's
you got to do the MAGA plan.
As Thomas Massey, the one guy you're not expected to get anything done. All of your libertarian ideas don't ever have to go anywhere. You live in this hyper idealized world where you don't have to engage in real politics. And that's why you could grandstand like Thomas Massey and be like, oh, I want zero deficit. Well, yeah, we all want zero deficits, but that's not the reality that we live in.
You flipped your take I don't think times in the past 5 minutes.
No, here's the deal. If you're in your 60s, in your late 50s, in your early 50s, and you're getting close to the age where you're supposed to see these benefits, you will vote against people who are saying they want to curtail those benefits and entitlements. And I think that's a perfectly natural, rational response from these voters. It's the perverse incentives that's the issue here.
If there was reverse Social Security, I'd vote for it. The old give to me, I'd be like, yeah, sign me up.
Yeah, I think that's what having two parents is.
Facts.
No, generally, right? If you only have one, they don't have enough to give. But if you have two, I hope to have enough to give to my child.
So, all right, listen, I'm going to start talking about my pet project here. Also in the bill is the Hearing Protection Act and the Short Act. Those are two things that you got to get into that we want to see passed because the NFA is unconstitutional. You can call your representative at 202-224-3121. You can call Speaker Johnson at 202-225-2777. You can call Majority Leader Scalise at 202-225-3015. And you can call the Majority Whip Emmer at 202-225-2210. Tell them that you want to see the Short Act and the Hearing Protection Act in the big, beautiful bill. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
What does the Short Act do for short kings?
It doesn't do anything for short kings. It does stuff for short barrel rifles.
Why would I want it?
Oh, yeah. That's what I thought it was about, the short kings.
Oh.
Short rifles, okay.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.